We are back with breaking news coverage of this morning's Blue Origin launch in West Texas. I'm Ann Wyatt Little.
And I'm Casey Jones. We've been following the build-up to liftoff all morning. Blue Origin engineers lifted a 30-minute hold, and that was in place because of wind concerns. And now we are less than 5 minutes away.
And we've got meteorologist Ted Phaeton here. Ted, winds have been a big concern for a couple of days now, and we've had two holds this morning, one for about 28 minutes and another for about 15 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, it's important to note that a cold front passed through Van Horn yesterday, which brought the windy conditions. At some points, they had sustained winds of up to 25 miles per hour. Luckily, that's not the case this morning. They're in single-digit winds, meaning it's relatively light. I was looking at the higher elevations. That seems to be in the clear, too. So hopefully, things are a go here now that they lifted the hold. And
you're looking live at the New Shepard capsule there. We've got our executive producer, Matt Campbell, standing by with us, too. Matt, this is such a significant day for so many Star Trek fans because the headline passenger on this flight is William Shatner.
Captain James Tiberius Kirk. He is, he's 90. He is going to become the oldest person ever to fly. But of course, he's spent the past better part of 5 decades flying around in space aboard the Starship Enterprise in the Star Trek series. He has been in all the movies that the original cast had, and he still has a big following. People line up to see him and hear him and have him sign something at Comic-Cons and Star Trek conventions. So this is big. I know there's at least one other person in our newsroom who is really happy to see him making it up on this flight.
Her name wouldn't be Amber, right?
No, it wouldn't be her at all.
One of our producers. You know what's so significant? September 8th, 1966, that's when Star Trek debuted. And then it was 3 years when we sent someone to the moon.
Yeah.
So William Shatner has been around and tied with space, and that connection is so deep.
And even during the series, they would do, they had a few episodes where they would travel back in time, and they kind of saw where the space program was kind of imagined to be at that point. But there's also been a lot of different references in the Star Trek universe to actual space flights. So it's been interesting. Star Trek had 3 seasons, 79 episodes in all. It was canceled because of low ratings. But it ended up becoming a phenomenon in syndication and led to a line of movies, brand new TV series that are on streaming services. And now that guy, William Shatner, you're seeing in the video, this is video that we're getting from Blue Origin that they're putting up. So you're getting to see him, 90 years old, and he had to walk up all the steps to the...
And he looked good doing it. You know, I've been following his Twitter feed. When this was first announced, he said, "I'm going to be a rocket man." Another thing we're definitely watching for in the next few minutes, he said that there's a scheduled tweet that's going to go off while he's in the air. We don't know what it says yet, but we will be watching that closely.
And we know that Jeff Bezos actually drove the crew. There are 4 people going up into space for this 10-minute ride. He drove them out to the launch pad. He actually closed the hatch. They had special messages from each of the 4 people who went on the first New Shepard 16 capsule flight back in July, special messages. And we heard from William Shatner not long ago in some of the pre-recorded interviews that they did. He said, "We're just at the beginning, but how miraculous to be a part of that beginning," which for Shatner starts in 55 seconds.
Wow.
A minute and 20 seconds.
Then 2 minutes away. That's really exciting. What's really cool here is they're going to blast up 66 miles into space. They're going to parachute right back down into the West Texas desert of Van Horn, where you're seeing the New Shepard capsule sit right now. We're just about a minute away from that moment.
Yeah, and they're going to have about 3.5 minutes of weightlessness up there. And something about the capsule, there are 6 windows, so everybody's got a good seat.
Yeah, everybody gets a window seat.
Exactly. 3 feet tall, about 2 feet wide. And so everybody will have a chance to look down at Earth, where they have special guests and friends and family waiting for them once they come back down. Let's take a listen. It just does not get old watching this happen. They are about a minute into this flight. At 2 minutes, the single stage booster will propel the capsule up. The two will separate, Matt, and then the booster lands back down on near the landing pad.
It will land just like it took off vertically. It's right now burning a mix of liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen. It's very similar to the same way that astronauts have been going into space since 1961. And this rocket is actually named for Alan Shepard, Navy pilot, member of NASA's Mercury 7, the original American astronauts. He was the first American to fly into space, and his flight back in, I want to say, May of 1961 was suborbital, just like this. Basically, it's going up in an arc and coming back down.
And they're going, or that capsule is going about 1,200 miles per hour right now and climbing quickly, right, Ted?
Yeah, that's twice the speed of sound almost. About 1,400 miles per hour will be twice the speed of sound. And as Matt just mentioned, suborbital, a lot of folks kind of misunderstand suborbital, thinking, okay, it's not as high. That doesn't measure how high you go. It just means you don't make one full orbit around the Earth. They're pretty much penetrating space and then coming back down in that direct arc before going around the Earth. So they're going to be landing at about the same spot where they took off. It's amazing what can be accomplished nowadays in just a matter of 10, 15 minutes, right?
And Ted, there's a large team. We've seen shots of mission control, but so many meteorologists are a big part of making this day happen because so many numbers factor into making sure this is a success.
Yeah, there are a lot of factors to consider here, not just the conditions on the ground. I know we were talking about the wind, but there are levels of the atmosphere, not just what we know as the troposphere or kind of what we experience here on the ground. There's so much above that, and the conditions that really they're combating outside of that capsule. You're talking about the radiation. You don't have the protection from the ozone layer on Earth, and there's a lot of things that they're susceptible to. So it does take a team. It requires a whole bunch of people looking at a lot of different variables and coordinating together to make sure that conditions are favorable at every level of the atmosphere to make sure that all of the members on that capsule get back here down to Earth safely as expected.
Yeah, it's all really fascinating, all the math and science that goes into it. And what's even cooler is that this is the second passenger flight of Blue Origin. You know, it's just the start of the commercial space flight industry. It makes you kind of optimistic that maybe one day you can go to space too.
This is exciting. I mean, not only do we have Blue Origin, we have Virgin Galactic, another company in terms of trying to pioneer private citizens going into space. The FAA changing the definition of astronaut because we are, for the first time in human history, accessible to space for the average person, or maybe the average person with the larger than average wallet, but it's still something that is exciting to see here, and we can only imagine what this means for the future of space travel, what this means for the future of our civilization.
Yeah, so right now you have to launch a bid if you want to get a spot on the flight. So we know that William Shatner, though, he was an exception. He was actually invited. Audrey Powers is one of the people on board right now. She's actually the VP for mission and flight for Blue Origin. So she's the company's first employee, besides, of course, the CEO, Jeff Bezos, who went up in space.
And Mission Control says they have confirmed separation of the capsule from the booster, as we had just talked about. And the astronauts are getting out of their seats and actually experiencing weightlessness
That
now.
must be fun, especially for 90-year-old William Shatner, the star of the show here. I would pay to see what he's doing right now.
Well, you know there is a camera recording everything that they're doing in there right now. That's just not part of this live feed coverage. But again, they're going to be in this weightlessness phase for about 3.5 minutes. And this is just about a 10-minute flight.
This is not very long.
No.
And much like the two first manned Mercury missions, it lasts just less than 15 minutes. In those cases, they flew about 250 miles out into the Atlantic and splashed down into the ocean. Here, they're going to be landing in the middle of the West Texas desert.
Yeah.
There's a lot of space out there.
There's plenty.
Lots of
You're not going to
space
hit
and
anything with ground.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, another pretty cool thing is that, you know, this, although it's only 10 minutes, they do travel above the Kármán line. That's the internationally recognized boundary of space. So quick mission, but they can say they've been to space.
And they're talking about 66 miles above the surface. So I don't know when the last time you've gone 66 miles in less than 10 minutes. So that's how fast they were going. And the interesting thing about zero G, what they've been experiencing and are probably experiencing now, is this is what they're experiencing in the International Space Station, zero G. But it means you're in a constant state of falling. That's really what gravity is. Earth has hold of the moon, and they're coming back down.
And speaking of falling, that's what we're looking at, the booster portion of the capsule or the rocket there coming back down into, there we go.
Wow, it's parachuting down into the West Texas desert, Van
About
Horn.
to touchdown.
Look at that.
Love to see it. We just watched history.
And
And the
amazing
precision
thing-
with which they're able to do that, Matt, that it was just the technology and advancement has come so far.
It's a lot of it is just computers. They weren't able to do this before until they had computers that were small enough, exact enough to do this. I mean, it's this, and that's another point that I want to say about the capsule we're seeing now. There's nobody on that capsule flying it. They're just passengers. They're riding the rail in this way, kind of.
And that's part of the reason that a lot of training really wasn't required for someone like William Shatner to go up, even though he's mentally been training his whole life.
It's a little bit more sophisticated than going to the amusement park and seeing the sign that says you have to be this tall to go on this ride. They want to make sure you're going to be healthy enough. They want to make sure that you're not going to have a problem with your heart, that don't have any problems with circulation, don't have any problems with blood clots, because you don't want to have a problem on your flight, even though it's just 10 minutes. And it's already, oh, look at this.
There we go.
Yeah.
There they are. So the team, they did complete some flight readiness evaluations, and of course they went through all of the safety features and procedures before they just hopped on this amazing scientific vessel we're seeing right now.
And I just want to make a note while they float safely back down to Earth, what we just saw in terms of the rocket landing back down, what that has done for space travel has drastically reduced the cost of space travel. Before, those rockets would be disposed in the ocean and couldn't be used again, but because of not only this capsule that's now floating down and the rocket itself being able to be reused, you're only talking about fuel economy here. So this really kind of has opened up a whole new world to space travel, and now we get images like this with Captain Kirk coming back from mission.
When that capsule touches down, William Shatner can finally say that he has gone to the final frontier.
And not just that, but he's the oldest person right now that's ever been up in space. So he made history today.
Wally Funk was 82. She was on that flight back in July. And then, of course, John Glenn was 77 back in 98 when he went up.
And I want to say previously the oldest person was Jake Garn. I believe he was a California senator. I think it was in the 80s, and he was in his 60s when he went up. It's an amazing thing to see this, that basically if you've got the cash, you can get a ride on this thing.
Wow.
And they're thinking that a Blue Origin ticket will cost maybe $500,000, maybe
let's
$1 million.
talk about the money. I mean, we don't even know for sure the exact number. For the first flight, someone bidded, what was it, more than $50 million?
$28 million.
$28 million.
And they're down.
There we go. You can hear the clapping in there. William Shatner, that tweet, he said he was going to tweet. He says, "I do not know what I may appear to the world, but to myself I seem to have been only like a boy playing on the seashore, diverting myself in now and then, finding a smoother pebble or a prettier shell than ordinary, whilst the great ocean of truth lay all undiscovered before me."
Wow.
You read that nicely, but I'd rather hear him read it. I'm sure it would be very
We'd
very
rather
dramatic.
hear William Shatner read it or sing anything. But there you go. capsule is back on the ground safely.
Yeah,
now,
right in the desert.
What's happening right now is some of those teams are getting in their cars, driving exactly to where the capsule is. I would imagine Jeff Bezos is in one of those lead trucks. He's probably going to want to be the person who opens the capsule, or who at least is standing right there.
Yeah, this is the first time it's went up without him. You know, this is the second time. The first time he was on it. They've done several missions without humans, but this is the second time humans have gone up.
It was interesting the last time. When on the first flight, Jeff Bezos' flight, there were those groundspeople who came out and brought a little step stool with a railing so they could walk down.
And they had some champagne.
And Jeff Bezos had on his cowboy hat. I wonder where he was able to order that hat. I'm not sure where.
They're hard to find.
If there were only a website where you could order that sort of thing.
Well, that's why these flights are happening.
Well, that's what he said. That's what he said. After their mission, they held a news conference. He said it's the people who have bought things from Amazon who are responsible for this happening, and that made a lot of people angry too.
Yeah.
We're getting closer to the windows there where you can kind of see in. I would imagine we'll see some thumbs ups.
Yeah, something, a wave.
Yeah.
It would be really nice if he was in there saying something like the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the Vulcan salute.
The Vulcan salute.
And here's a little bit of trivia. The Vulcan salute, it's, you hold your hand out and it's a little V with your hand and your thumb out. Leonard Nimoy came up with that. He was the guy who played Spock he was the actor who played Spock in the Star Trek series and movies. He created that because one day he was Jewish. He grew up in Boston, and when he was in the temple one day for a service, and when everybody was praying, everybody had their eyes closed and head down. He looked up at the rabbi and saw the rabbi holding up his hand with that salute. And it's something from Jewish tradition, and he incorporated that into Star Trek.
Wow, look at that. And now it's even an emoji.
This is the useless stuff I give you every day.
It's useful right now, Matt.
We appreciate all of your knowledge about this. Well, William Shatner is gone where no Starfleet captain has gone before.
And it begs the question, where do we go from here? Or where do you, for these 4 crewmen coming back down, how does life alter? Because Jeff Bezos left that letter saying, hey, your life will forever be changed by this, experiencing weightlessness, going up to the great beyond, the final frontier, and then coming back down. I'm pretty sure everything's going to be maybe just a little bit different after that perspective that they all gained.
We can see that truck heading in, so we're getting closer to finally seeing the crew get out of the capsule.
And we know that William Shatner plans to, or he has said in interviews that he plans to write a song. About his experience, where he's published a lot of songs about
He's done
space.
albums. They've mainly been spoken word. He doesn't really hit notes.
Okay.
He sings in rhythm with the music.
Okay.
And as you can imagine, in his dramatic style.
All right, so we see a crew pulling up now.
You know, Shatner only found out about this, well, it was only released to the public a couple of weeks ago that he was going to be on this flight. I think it was October 4th is when they announced that news, that he was going to be on this flight. It's built up a lot of interest in that time.
Well, absolutely.
For sure.
Trekkies all over.
I see some action there from the passengers. It looks like a little signal from the window, maybe a wave, maybe even that Trekkie symbol. I don't know. We're getting further away, though. A view of Big Bend National Park in the distance, and there's another.
This might be the one carrying the stool, the step stool. So.
Yeah, maybe Jeff is in this one too.
And you can see where that the booster landed in the back of that shot, so you get that perspective of just how the distance between the two there.
It's because SpaceX does the same thing, except they land their boosters on barges out in the ocean. They can also land them on land. They do they've done most of their launches with their boosters out of Cape Canaveral in Florida, out of the NASA complex at Kennedy Space Center. But they also have a big space center closer to Brownsville, Texas, where they're going to be launching their plus-sized rocket, and it's going to have the Starship spacecraft, and that's what right now has been contracted by NASA to be part of the first hoped for
Is
moon
that Shatner
landings.
laying down right there? You see him?
Look at him.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah, we saw him laying down in some of the prep videos, so I think that's his window seat right there. He looks real comfortable. There's a thumbs up. Okay, good news. Yep.
Oh, yep. We just got the thumbs up.
Yep, all 4 passengers giving the thumbs up, guys. It's a successful mission. New Shepard 18.
And Matt, as we sit here and wait for them to come out, space has always fascinated you. Can you believe that we're watching this today? As a little boy growing up, watching NASA ships or rockets blast off, and then we see this today, commercial space flight.
Well, the first voyage I saw was when the Vikings left Norway. But the first launch that I remember seeing was April 12th, 1981. That was the first flight of the Space Shuttle Columbia. That was a brand new thing. And that's really what got me really interested in space, to the point that I annoy people with my knowledge.
Well,
you know, your knowledge is very useful today, Matt. We're so happy to have you here. It looks like they're securing the steps. We're just moments away from seeing the newest, well, not necessarily astronauts.
The latest
You know,
travelers.
Blue Origin calls them astronauts. The FAA does not call them astronauts, but I'm sure they probably call themselves astronauts too.
If you pay that kind of money to fly, you can call yourself whatever you want to.
Well, and now there are only 2 paying customers
two.
or
Yeah.
travelers on this flight.
One's an employee and one was invited. That was William Shatner.
The others are Dr. Chris Boshusen, I'm guessing. Forgive me. He is with the French software company Dassault. And then there's Glenn DeVries, who, if I'm not mistaken, he owns a company that builds small spacecraft. Small
Big money,
stuff.
that's what you're talking.
There you go.
Entrepreneur and executive there.
Yeah, even if you go on the website right now, blueorigin.com, you know, there's an option to fly to space. When you click reserve a seat, you know, there's no price. We already know it's high if they don't list the price.
Yeah, that's problematic when you don't see the price.
I'm sure the
oftentimes.
experience itself is
All
priceless.
right, they're getting ready to get the newest space travelers off the capsule. Oh,
Jeff Bezos
there's
there
Jeff
giving the
thumbs up to everyone.
Did not bring the hat.
Yeah, he's out there in that same spacesuit all the others are wearing.
And you just imagine for the crew kind of sitting in there with what just happened, waiting to kind of come out and emerge and share the experience. You're still probably taking it all in that seat right now.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it just happened, 10 minutes ago?
Yeah.
It's fresh in the brain.
Who's going to be the first person to say, I want to go again?
I bet Jeff has said it.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
I mean, there was enough room on the capsule. I believe it seats 6, 4 wet this time. There was enough room for Jeff. I would have invited him along to sit shotgun.
You know, it's a smile-inducing day, a memorable ride, a brief 10 minutes, but what an impactful and powerful 10 minutes for those 4 people on board. The camera crews are in place, so you know we're getting close to the exit. You can kind of see they're unbuckling probably and getting ready to walk out.
Wow, so exciting.
There's probably a lot of maybe things with the hatch that they have to undo because, as I mentioned, when you're in space, you're combating a lot of elements, one of which being that pressure, making sure that the pressure and everything inside the capsule stays that way because you're battling a lot of conditions out there, not just from the lack of pressure, but also you have extreme heat, extreme cold. You're kind of combating all the elements at once, so it's not going to be easy to just open the door to let them out.
Yeah, that's why you can see those crew members. They're kind of manipulating with some of the, I don't even begin to know what all they're doing. Yes.
Thingamajiggers.
Well, one of the things about that sets this capsule apart from the capsules that NASA has used, the NASA craft often have different thrusters on it that contain propellants that are often very toxic. So you have to make sure that those things are out of it. With this capsule, it's just meant to go up and come down. It doesn't do any maneuvering. All the maneuvering was done by the booster. So this is just a matter of making sure that the ship is safe, the people aboard are safe, that there's good seals, which they're about to break. Jeff
There's
Bezos.
Jeff opening it up.
He closed the hatch to send them off, and he opened it back up. People are clapping, and all 4 of those space travelers have special guests there to greet them.
It's not bad when the world's richest man welcomes you back to Earth.
Not too bad. Not too bad. And this time I don't see any champagne. I guess number 2 doesn't get any champagne.
Oh,
but they
I
are
bet
going to
it's
be
there
greeted
somewhere.
by this film crew just waiting to capture this historic moment.
And there's Audrey Powers. She's the first one out. Of course, she works closely with Jeff Bezos as the VP of Mission and Flight Operations.
And
There
there's
he
William
is.
Shatner. Wow. Oh,
Sharing
beautiful
a hug.
moment. Yeah, I mean, if you invited me to space, I have to give you a big hug, too.
The next thing we have to look forward to is Halloween. Sunday, October 31st, SpaceX will launch another Crew Dragon capsule. This one will go to the International Space Station. That one will have Tom Marshburn, a doctor and NASA astronaut. He will be flying on that SpaceX craft to the International Space Station, and we're just a couple of weeks away from it.
Well, there you go, everyone back on the ground, hugging, I'm sure sharing stories of what that 10 minutes was like and what the view was like. I wish we could hear.
Yeah, I would love to hear
what
this conversation right
is.
now.
I'm sure we will get to at some point. It's just unfortunately not happening.
Yeah, lots of film crews there, and that means lots of different angles. So hopefully we'll see everything.
Tylen, do we have audio on this? Can we hear it? There's the champagne.
Oh, there's the champagne. How about that?
They have the champagne and probably toasting.
Oh,
Well,
there it
you
is.
go.
It's a party.
And while the rocket is back on Earth, our coverage doesn't stop here.
We have more Blue Origin coverage on Fox46.com and this afternoon on Fox 46 at noon.
Thank you so much for sticking with us. We hope you have a great day.